Thank you, Chair, for giving the opportunity to share the views of International Cotton Advisory Committee on African cotton and need for stronger textile industry. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Kamar Usman, Head of Textiles at ICAC, and a very warm welcome from Washington, D.C. We all know that world is moving towards sustainable solutions. Cotton production systems and cotton products are now being evaluated for sustainability with an objective to improve them. Textile companies and brands across the world are in an effort to reduce their material impact and are in search of more sustainable sources of cotton. The key concerns are water, pesticide, and nitrogenous fertilizer, which cause the most significant environmental problems in cotton systems. Utilization of all these are quite low in majority of cotton grown in Africa, such as blue water. The world averages 1,911 liters to produce 1 kg of land, while 95% of African cotton is rain-fed. NPK fertilizer application is lowest across Africa, against world average of 219 kg per hectare. Majority of the African countries are using less than 10 kg per hectare. And lastly, use of pesticide is close to zero in majority of African countries. Therefore, we can say that African cotton is more sustainable than any other region. Further, African cotton is part of many sustainable programs such as Cotton Made in Africa, Better Cotton Initiative, Organic Fair Trade, Global Organic Textile Standards, making it further preferred destination for sourcing. However, Africa has not been able to fully utilize its potential in cotton and textiles value chain. World cotton trade in the last 20 years has only increased from $7 billion to $14 billion, while textile trade, which was nearly $100 billion in 1980, has increased to $850 billion. Therefore, cotton let alone cannot make any difference. Subsequent processing of cotton into value-added products adds value and creates massive employment, especially for women. Well, it is astonishing to note that over the last 40 years, textiles from Africa have only increased from $1.2 billion to $14 billion, mainly due to exports from North Africa and South Africa. In fact, East African exports have remained stagnant for the last 20 years, and West African textile exports have actually decreased by 30%. All of these despite having homegrown cotton and abundant labor, land, and water. If we look at textiles, fastest growing exporters over the same period, we can see that Vietnam, Turkey, China, and Bangladesh have gone from almost nothing to become the world's biggest exporters of textiles, despite, in the case of Vietnam and Bangladesh, of having no or little homegrown cotton. Textile plays an important role in the development of countries. Here you can see that Bangladesh GDP per capita was even less than Burkina Faso in 1980, and today it is more than 250% higher. But this low per capita income in Africa is a huge advantage for Africa, especially for apparels, which are labor intensive and low capita, meaning it is quick and cheap to create jobs and provide opportunities for previously unemployed and unskilled workers. With wages increasing in these other countries, the value-added segment, that is stitching, will no longer be cost effective. It is also astonishing that Africa, which is producing 6% of the world cotton, is exporting only $4 billion of raw materials and $10 billion of finished products, while importing $14 billion of raw materials and $11 billion of finished products. They are even unable to produce finished products to cater their own needs, while Bangladesh is importing raw materials of $10 billion, catering their entire own needs, as their finished imports are only $0.3 billion and exporting more than $37 billion. Export of raw materials from Bangladesh is less than $1 billion. The world textile trade is growing. WTO data shows that world textile imports in 2020 was around $850 billion, which would equate to retail values of between $2 to $2.5 trillion. Further, Africa has a big advantage over potential competitor countries with concessional market access under AGWA and GSP+, but instead of exporting to the world, Africa is a net importer of textiles, importing textiles amounting to $25 billion. In all the major textile importing countries, Africa can export duty-free, an advantage of 12 to 28% over their competitors. Out of total 237 million short spindles in the world, 97 million short staple spindles are installed in China, followed by India at 54 million short staple spindles. Pakistan and Bangladesh have 14 million short staple spindles. Only 4 million spindles are installed in Africa. The trend continues. Out of total 1.8 million shuttleless looms, only 18,000, that is 1% shuttleless looms, are installed in Africa. So working on the accepted figure that for each ton of cotton produced, direct employment is created for 4% in the cotton and textiles value chain. This means that this increase in production to world average would create an additional 6 million jobs in West Africa if the cotton was able to be consumed internally. But if we extend that through to the textiles value chain, we can see using the 2021 average prices that the cost of yarn was double that of cotton lint. Fabric was 6.3 times, and apparel cost a staggering 15 times more than cotton lint. So by developing a textiles value chain, there is a potential to create value addition worth billions of dollars. And in this case, for these countries in West Africa, it equates to an additional $63 billion. Textile is the weakest linkage in the whole value chain in the majority of the African region. Because of its weakness, the cotton and apparel sectors are virtually two separate industries that rarely have connections with each other. The majority of cotton is exported to Asia, and the apparel sector imports almost all of its fabric from Asia. The remarkable absence of a textile sector raises many questions on policy formulation or even absence of any policy. Advancing from a backward agrarian economy to an industrial powerhouse requires comprehensive strategies. Africa should remember that the development of a cotton, textiles, apparel value chain has proved to be remarkably important in the history of industrialization in various regions. The industrialization revolution in England in the 18th century started with the boom of textiles manufacturing before spreading to other sectors. Later, in the East Asian miracle, the textile sector once again played a vital role, as depicted in the flying geese pattern. Different countries over the years, from Japan to the East Asian Tigers to China and the Association of Southeast Asian Nations, have tried to catch up with advanced economies by first taking over labor-intensive sectors such as textiles and apparel manufacturing, and then climbing up the value chain to more sophisticated industries. African governments, if can get a long-term market access of US and EU, then that would automatically attract the investment by the US and EU retail giants, buying houses and even fashion brands. Moreover, this would also attract the large-scale Asian apparel manufacturers. However, within the given scenario, African governments can attract small and medium-sized Asian apparel makers to their countries within a short period of time by formulating long-term policies, including measures for infrastructure development, such as export processing zones, special economic zones. Moreover, they would be required to provide energy at competitive rates. Further, they have to lower their import tariffs. They have to start vocational skills development programs to improve productivity, reduce wastages, and importantly, for improved quality. All these measures would encourage own equipment manufacturing to slowly move for own design manufacturing. African countries have to think out of the box. They may provide land to Asian giant manufacturers for form to fashion purpose. This way, they will also avoid the cost of exporting cotton to Asian countries and then importing semi-processed raw materials. Moreover, investors would bring advanced technology and management techniques to Africa that would also help to improve local production processes. Development of value-added apparel manufacturing is essential to transform agrarian societies and in turn to solve Africa's persistent poverty problems. In current scenario, only those textile producing countries will survive, will adapt to the changing trade environment through a continuous process of restructuring and modernization, reduce inefficiencies, develop new products, and consolidate, particularly in the value-added subsectors. There are challenges and which provide opportunities to foster, but only for those who deliberate and find a solution with mutual consensus. Lastly, availability of sustainable cotton and human resource make Africa a prime place for development of textiles value chain, and that would generate employment and value addition along with industrialization. It is up to the governments and also the private sector to come forward and make it happen. It is not very difficult. Thank you.